Hey, great to have you back. All right. So, in this video, we're looking at the custom validation. So, it's a series, right? So, I had to just record it at a stretch. We looked at the Jakarta validation, we looked at the group validation part one, look at the group validation part two. So, we have, and finally, we're looking at the custom validation. I believe with this, you should be able to then think far and wide and then implement it in all your projects as required. So what we're gonna do, I just get right in to implement the custom validation. All right, like I mentioned in the last video, what we're gonna do. Remember, we used this is where we ended things, where we actually were able to go through all this, and I actually advise you take this and place it in a class or a util, then put it in, then inject it into your service to make it work. I also basically showed you that this validator can be injected directly, which is why I placed this here, right? But it gives you one constraint. The constraint is you have to ensure it is within a bin you're using it, which I don't think you want to do, right? You probably want to make it static, right? But I would always advise try to use static as less as possible, because remember, the moment you start your application, all your static methods and objects remains in memory or remains on the JVM, and it's not garbage collected. Static are not garbage collected, and that's what you should look out for. If it's too much, it's going to cause you a bit of issue. All right, so with that being said, let's just go in to run our custom validation. Now we're building our custom validation around two things, right? The first one around this card type, and secondly, we'll be building it around our phone number. All right, so what I'll do is I'll quickly go in and build that for the phone number, and then we'll come back to this card type, so we are sure that everything now has an annotation to it. Okay, so how do we proceed? Pretty easy, guys. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to create a package. I'll call it custom annotation. Custom annotation. Then I will then have an interface. I'll call it valid phone number. It's pretty simple, guys. It's really nothing to it. Then you place an @ here. Right? Then once you're done building it, you see exactly how it looks like. We'll then compare it to the other ones that are existing, and you see it's nothing different at all. So you place it at documented. I remember in the initial video I showed you guys what that documented mean. I explained all these concepts, right? And we have at constraints. Then we have a validated by. The validated by will be how I want to validate it. I'll say phone number validator, which we're going to create in a bit, the class. All right, then we're also going to have a target. What are we targeting? Like, do we want it to be on a method, on a field, on a class? I'm going to target two things, right? I'm going to target element type. I'm going to target field. I'm going to target element type and target method. So you can use this annotation on a field, on a method, and it will basically work. All right, and at retention, then I'll basically place in our retention policy runtime. So meaning I want it to run at runtime. So that's pretty much the initial step. Then secondly, then what is remaining, I'll just place in a string message, right? These are defaults you need to add. So these are defaults. So I'm not cooking it up. This is the default. Then I'll just say invalid phone number. Right, then I'll say class. Then a class will basically have a wildcard. Then I'll say groups. I'm sure you're starting to get it now, right? Because groups need to exist too. Remember, it's an annotation. So I'm going to be placing it as a Jakarta annotation. It needs to be able to work with groups too. So it's a contract basically that you need to follow. Then this will have the defaults. We're going to compare it in a bit, so you're going to see how it works. Say groups will basically have this also, yeah. Then we have this, right? Then finally, I'm going to have my class, right? And I'll have this class will extend payload. Yeah, to extend payload. Okay, something missing here. Let's see. Invalid phone number. All right, my groups, my default. Why are you complaining? Let's see. Let me see why this is complaining. Payload is correct. Oh yes. Group should be it should be an array. Remember, we could add more than one. All right, so now that we've added this, that's all we're basically doing. Then we need to then add the phone number validator. So let's come in here and create a phone number validator. So what I'll do is I'll create another package. I'll call it validators. Just say validator. Okay, I have a validator, then I'll place this in the class. Then I would extend. So for this, you extend the constraint validator. Then the constraint validator, you place in the annotation you just created, which is the valid phone number. And what is the type? What is the type of what is the type? What is the field type? It's going to be a string because the phone number is a string. Now I'm going to take this in and just accept both. Right? I'm going to accept both. All right. So that basically works. Okay. So for this, I then have implements rather, because it's an interface. Let's check. Yes, it's an interface, so not a class. So that basically works. All right, so for this, I'm not going to touch this. This is not my goal. This is the goal. What you're placing here is what really determines if it works or it does not work. So here, I'm going to say, I want to test, let's call this phone number. This guy is going to be a phone number because my phone number, right? So I'm going to say, first off, I want to ensure my phone number is not null. If it's null, it will throw it. It will throw that. And I'll say, and I want to ensure my phone number starts with. This is just me giving it a custom message. I say +234, right? So you see, I'm placing the conditions in it. And I would ensure if I strip away dot substring, if I strip away the +234, I want to ensure the length is still equal to 10. So let's take this for instance. All right, I have +234 80 1234 1234, which is so this is a standard Nigerian phone number. So if I were to remove this, I want to be sure that this is 10 2 4 6 8 10, which is a Nigerian phone number. So I'm going to leave this here for reference. So that is exactly what I'm doing here. So if this starts with a +234, and if this basically if this is 10, then I want to ensure it's valid. Now this is not the accurate thing, right? This is not the full way to validate if it's a phone number that is working or if it's okay. For you to basically do this, I would recommend, if you have a phone number you want to actually use or you want to validate, use the Google. There's a Google library called it's called the phone number lib, right? I think it's called phone number lib. Phone number library. Phone number lib. Phone number is something around that. That is what I would recommend you use. So you could type this into Google and you will see it's a library by Google. That's what I would recommend you use to validate the phone number. You can validate any phone number of any country. And it's very, very fast. I could tell you that. I've used it a couple of times. I just wanted to point that out, right? But this is just a custom method for us to see that this basically works as it should. We're just testing something similar. So something simple like that. All right, so let's wire this in. All right, so that's it. To be honest, that's it. That's how to create a custom annotation. It's not that difficult. So what I'll do is I'll just go to my payload and I'll just add valid phone number. That's all. That's all, guys. I just say message, and the message is what? Phone number is not valid, right? Just say it's not valid. Let's just make it simple, right? Phone number is not valid. As simple as that. So let's run the application. Let's go to my Scratch, my famous Scratch, right? Let's go to my famous Scratch. Okay, I place in here MasterCard. Okay, let's see what's filling. Okay, so I need my merchant name. Okay, let's just place it here. I want to test something different. Okay, payee age. Okay, remember we need payee age for MasterCard. Payee age, and I'll just say, remember it's at least 18, so I'll just place it 19. Because I want it to work so that you would see the phone number breaking. You see this phone number? I would basically just place in something like this. And let's see. What can you see? Phone number is not valid. So that basically works. You see, it works accurately. If I place in 234, let's try it again. It's not valid because apparently it expects +234. And when we do this, it basically works now. All right, so that is a beautiful thing, guys. That's basically how to test this. Awesome. All right, so remember we've tested for phone number. So that's how to create your custom validation. Rather, I'll say it's as simple as that. It doesn't take anything more than that, right? That's just it. Now, let's now do for enum, right? For enum. Now, for this enum, I'm going to create, I'll say, I'll say valid valid cat type, then cat type, then I'll just say interface. I'll place it here. So I just go in and copy all these, right? You already know that it's going to be the same. So I'll just go in here and copy everything here. So I'll just place my cat type here, right? So just remove this. So that works. So I'm just going to say cat type validator. So I just have cat type validator. I'll remove this. Everything remains, it's nothing different. So I'll just say invalid cat type. Just say cat type. So I'll take this and I'll create this one here. Right, so remember we're going to implement the constraint validator card string. So you've already guessed it. It's as simple as that. Then we'll bring both in. So I'll just say card type. Remember we're taking in a string. So I'm going to say this should not be null. Should not be null. And this should be, remember, look at the valid card types. Look at what is expected. If we go to our enum, remember we created an enum. Where's our payment request? Where's the payment? Okay, here. So if we check this out, we created an enum here. We created an enum here within our DTO, and it must be of these three types. So I'll just right click this. So it must match those names. So what I would do, my validator, I would just say, and cat type. So what I would do is just do this. I'll just create let's create a final list of string, and I'll just say cat types. Okay, cat types, and I'll just say this is I'll just say a list of, and because it's static, right, I'll just say visa. I don't want to write basically. I want it to basically come. So I'll say enum dot this dot visa dot name, right? So it will basically be this in string format. That's what this does. Name gives you in string format. Then this I will say card type dot mastercard dot name, and finally I will say card type dot vev dot name. All right, so that gives you the string format. So I'll then say cat type does contain, so I expect it to contain exactly, not lowercase, uppercase, right? Things like that. You might probably want to do that, right? You could ensure that your cat type can take lowercase, uppercase. I think it's a good one. Take lowercase, uppercase, then, but right now, just make it strict. I just say contains cat type. So that's just what I'm going to do. If it's true, then if it's not true, it does not work. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so why is this guy complaining? So he's saying cat type temporary bound should implement the annotation. Let me see. Let's go in here. All right, constraint. Let's go to our phone number, our cat type validator. All right, let's bring this in. All right, does that resolve it? No, I think it's something else. Let me quickly figure out what is happening here. All right, so the issue was simple. All right, so we had this here initially. So it's supposed to be the annotation, which is the valid cat type. Remember, if you check this out, contains the valid phone number, which is this. So this also should contain the valid cat type. Yeah, so that's what the issue was. All right, so we have this. I'll just bring this here also, and I think that should be fine. All right, so we have this, and all I would do is just pick this valid cat type and go to my requests. Where's my request? My payment request. I'll just come in here and say this I want at valid cat type. Valid cat type. So as simple as that. Now, I'm expecting there might be an error here, right? But let's just test this out. I want to be sure. All right, because I'm thinking this is an enum, is not coming as a string. That might be an issue, but let's just see, because I expect that this is intercepted, but let's see how it behaves. All right, so what I'll do, I'll restart this. Let's go in here and test this out. Right, so what is the error? It says no validator can be found for constraints this validating type this. You see, is validating an enum, and I'm actually placing in a string. Check configuration for string. So this was what I was expecting to happen, because it's expecting expect something else. So there is a special way to actually do that. I'm going to actually get that in. So let's quickly resolve that and have this sorted. Yeah. So the quick fix to this, right? So the quick fix to this is quite simple. We can place in a quick fix to get this done, but there is another way to validate enums, right? Where you can use an enum subset. You can actually have an enum subset which is available. But I'll basically make this simple because this is, I think you can maintain this to just have it as string. So what I will do, I will go to my phone number. Where are you? I'll go to my payment request. I'll receive this as a string, and that should solve my issue. Then I'll then basically default it to a verb. I'll default it to a verb. Now what I've just done is that I've made this a string, and this type is expecting a string instead of a cat type, right? Instead of a cat type. So I should have basically placed a cat type here, right? If I place a cat type, but then I'll not be able to do the annotation of making it lowercase and uppercase, which I basically want to avoid. I assure you, you basically get the point. And I'm basically accepting a string here. So let's just quickly run this. Where are you? Okay, yeah, this is breaking. So this is expecting this string. So I'll say payment string, right? And I'll say, where are you? So I'm going to say cat type. This cat type now, I have to ensure that they're strings. So what I will do, where is this guy? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Yes, I have this here. So I have this string already. This string already exists. There's a better way to create this. So what I will do, just watch what I'm going to do. This is on the fly, right? So what I'll do is I'll create a method here. I'll say a public, so this will end. Say public static, and I'll say is valid. Say is valid cat type, which is going to be a string. Sorry, a boolean rather. A boolean, right? So I'll then pass in a string cat type, right? Now if I pass that in, then I'll say cat type dot then values, then dot stream, then stream. All right, so you want me to do that? So this then I'll have map return. I'll just say map. Okay, so I have the card name. Now for the card name, and I'm filtering. Now I don't want this. I don't want this. Thank you for the autocomplete. But I'll say card type. Now I have the values. Then I'll say for for I'm going to filter for each card type. For each card type, I will say I will check if the card type. So did I, okay, I call this card type. I'll just say CT card type. Say CT card type dot card type dot name, right? Dot lowercase, right? Or just say dot ignore. I'll just say dot is equals ignore lowercase. Equals ignore case rather, then card type. So what I'm saying is it shouldn't check the card type. So if it's valid, that means it's a valid card type. Then I'll say if that is so, then I would say, I think filter, I think there is something called match, basically. I think there is a match. There's a match, right? Let me remember. Any match. Any match. If any match, if it matches any one of them, then it's valid. So this will basically give us, this will basically check if it's a valid card type. So I will come in here. I'll just go to my my validator. All right. Let's just go to my sample request. All right, my sample request. Then I'll say card type, because you need to pass a card type. So I'll check my card type dot is valid card type, and I'll say payment dot get card type. So this will give me a valid card type. So if it's boolean, right? If it's a boolean, so what I want to do here is I'll probably want to throw an exception is not a valid card type. All right, so what I'll do is for now I'll just say if this is I'll just say, all right, I'll just bring this in. All right, so if it's valid card type, I'll just say if valid card type, just say if not valid card type, I'll just say throw new runtime exception, so you can just catch that later to say, hey, we expect a valid card type here, right? But if it's a valid card type, okay, so we're gonna do just that. Right, do just that. Let me see, valid card type, 1 minute. Yeah, I think this basically defeats the purpose. If I were to do this, let me revert this, right? I think this was not necessary. What I should have done is I'll just say this card type basically, I would then, because it would have validated, so I'll say card type dot value of yes. So value of this dot to uppercase. Yes, so this should basically resolve my issue. Remember, we're already validating this on this layer, this valid card type, because we've converted it to string. I did not want to use this. I did not want to use what's the name now? I don't want to use card type here, which is the enum, because if I use card type here, it means the user has to mandatorily pass in an uppercase, which is not really. I don't want to. I just thought about it. I know I mentioned something different earlier. Just thought we should go the other way around to ensure we're taking lowercase or uppercase. I hope that basically works. All right, so I think this is getting pretty much complicated. So let's close this. I mean, so much, right? So let's close this. So let me quickly walk through what we've done. We have the payment request here. So we're passing the card type. It could be lowercase or uppercase, and we are validating if it's working. How are we validating? We have this, our custom validation, and we have the validator. The validator in here, if you check the validator, this validator takes in this string, this card type, then this basically goes in, right? And we could basically come in here and say to uppercase, so that way we are sure that it will match this. So if this comes to uppercase, does not match any of this, it will show an error that the card type is not valid, to say invalid card type. And within our controller, because this has been validated, is now true, we can easily just say card type off, and it will match the valid card type, and that will work as we expected. So let's go in here, let's move in, and let's just test our scratch, right? This video has gotten so long, so we'll go in here, test this out. So now we get the error, no enum constant card type MasterCard. All right, let's see. Did I use lowercase? Let's see. Okay, uppercase, sorry. Uppercase. Yeah, that's the error there. So meaning it already passed. All right. And as you can see, this works. So what I'll do now is I'm going to come in here and remove the D and just pass in something random here. And what is the error we get? You see, invalid card type. And look at the inputs. Basically works. And let's try using a small letter also. I'll say MasterCard. It ignores the case sensitivity and it works. I hope this basically works. I know we went through a whole lot of things and to be able to get this. Now the custom annotation, I would like you to go through the video once or twice again to be able to see everything I covered, right? I will just quickly do a quick recap. All you need to do, create the annotation. When you create the annotation, you place the documented constraint type. This constraint type tells you who's going to validate it, which is this, which is what we created in this our validator. Then the target type is where do you want to use it. I think this was the only thing we focused on, which is field. Then retention, it should be done as runtime. Remember, it has to contain groups too, which simply means by you having this here, you could have your new message, because we're placing a custom message. The custom message is what we have in here. You could place in a new message to say card type is really not valid. And we could then attach it to a group if we want to. That's the whole essence of using that contract, right? We could attach it to a group. All right, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so that was what we basically covered. And I chose not to use the enum anymore. Rather, I chose to use a string so that we could accept lowercase, uppercase, and it worked. I know I initially mentioned uppercase, right? I initially mentioned let's use a card type, right? That would simply mean you're coming here to just change this from string to the card type enum. You change this in and you'll be able to do your validation as you deem fit. But I chose to use string so that we can validate lowercase and uppercase. All right, with me adding this in here, let's just test it one more time. Bring up my scratches, and I will place in a lowercase here, and let's see this works. And I'll just remove this DR and just say master CA, and let's see what happens. ooh, card is really not valid. And you see the input, you see all these details, and you can see we have proper formatting. We're able to go through the Jakarta validation, we're able to go through the nested validation, we're able to go through the group validation, and we're able to go through the custom validation. And finally, we're able to actually get our exception handling to pretty much format everything properly and nicely. I know it's been a long video, but I hope you've learned as much as I've basically delivered. Thank you so much for your time. I'll see you guys in the next video.